Oscar, who is a fan on YouTube, started a very interesting discussion on the topic of which cushions can you use on a seat. Well, basically there are two families of cushions. One family is cushions that you can use for the seat pan, and the other family is cushions that you can use for the backrest. I will split them the two. But before we dive into that, I'd like to go back on some basics on the relationship between the pelvis and the seat. You see, if you sit on your hands, palms facing the ceiling, so that you can feel your sitting bones, you will feel that when you slouch, your sitting bones are in front of you. If you go right on your sitting bones, your back is flat, and if you go too far forward, your sitting bones are behind you and your back is hollow. So basically, the position of your pelvis determines the shape of your spine, and this is why when we sit, we want something that keeps us on the sitting bones and which prevents the pelvis from rotating. Okay. So let's look at the first family of cushions. The cushions for the seats, they will therefore be involved in what is the position of my pelvis. If I have a wooden chair, staying on the sitting bones will be extremely difficult. Therefore, a cushion will make sense to soften the chair. But this cushion should not be sliding forward, because if it slides forward, it takes the pelvis with it. So, type 1 is you can use a cushion to soften a seat pan which is too hard, which will not be the case if you are on an office chair. There are special cases though. Special cases are if you had an accident. For example, if your coccyx has been broken, well, you want to relieve pressure under certain areas. For that, there are specific cushions. A supplier, for example, sent me this cushion with a hole here, which will help you reducing the pressure right here. So that type of cushion can indeed be used if I had a special injury. And of course, as I'm now sitting higher, I will need to raise the backrest as well. But you see, that in certain cases can be useful. What's most commonly recommended are angled cushions. And there I have many more reservations. Why that? On this chair, I've now recreated an angled cushion, i.e. I've tilted the seat pan forward. Well, let's look at what happens. What happens is that it takes the pelvis with it, and that hollows my back, brings me away from the backrest. Now, if the seat pan is in the other direction, forget about the backrest, it doesn't matter. You see that the pelvis goes the other way around, i.e. I will slouch. This is why, under normal circumstances, you want a seat pan which is stable around horizontal. Okay? In very specific cases, and this is why there's this function, it can be useful that the chair follows you forward. For example, if you work on a microscope. Now, if you work on a microscope, the chair should slightly move forward so as to support you when you look at the binoculars. Now, let's be clear. That should not be too much. If you need to go this far forward, it means that your microscope is not well adjusted. Yeah? So it's a micro movement, and let's say I do not recommend that the seat pan goes more than 5 degrees in this case. So it's really a mini inclination. It's not a massive angle. So conclusion is, I am not in favor of angled cushions. I do not recommend them. Now, regarding the backrest, you see the critical part of a backrest is this, which is the lumbar support. It's actually a wrongly chosen name because we're not trying to support the hollow part of the back, which is your lumbar area. We're trying to support your pelvis, which is your belt, so it's one level lower. This is the lumbar cushion. You see it has several curves. Here, it will adapt to the shape of your torso, and here, it will support your belt. So this type of cushion is not particularly relevant on a good office chair, which has already a lumbar support, but it can be relevant in your kitchen, on your couch, on a meeting chair, etc. Two special cases. Special case number one is in the car. if you need more support in the car because you have an old car, because the seat is not well designed or something, do not take one which is as thick as that, because this cushion will bring you further away from the backrest, and if you have an accident, you will have ample space to break your spine. Okay, so if you use one in a car, you choose a very, very, very thin one. Case number 2, you're very short, or actually the chair is too deep. Yeah, if the chair is deeper than your thighs are long, even after having brought the seat band completely backwards, well, the good thing about this cushion is that it will shorten the seat band. Therefore, if you're quite short, yeah, such a cushion on your good office chair can be useful to further reduce the seat depth. But same story, you need to adjust it at belt level, not at lower back level, or even not in your mid back. So conclusion, on a good office chair, which is adapted to your size, you don't need any cushion. You will need cushions only if you have special injuries and then you want to relieve pressure somewhere, or if the seat is not comfortable enough, it needs to be made softer on the seat band, or it needs to be provided with a lumbar support. But one way or the other, I do not recommend any angled cushion ever, nor do I recommend any cushion which will push you away from the lumbar support, because the lumbar support is the most important part of your chair.